You know what those are, right? NYPD, FD&Y, if you have the nurses, the doctors, right? So because our membership is selective, we give you more money on your savings. And then later on, if you ever applied for a loan or a credit card, our interest rates are a lot lower. Everybody's heard of interest rates, right? Yes? Okay. No? Some people said no? We'll get to that in a little bit. So basically, we're able to help you save a lot more than a regular commercial bank. Not that you can't have one. I have one myself. But a credit union basically just helps you save a little bit more, right? So who's in here is in high school? By show of hands. Okay? Seniors? High school seniors? Juniors? Sophomores? Freshmen? Okay, so pretty much. Anyone that's not in high school? Everybody in the back, yes. Okay, great. So you all at some point have thought about college, right? Right? After you go from junior high school to high school, what's next? College, right? You've thought about going to college. Have you thought about what school you want to go to? Right? You thought about what you want to do. Have you thought about how much it potentially costs to go to college? You said yes? No? Yes? Okay, it can cost a lot, right? Depending on where you go. Who wants to go out of New York? A lot of people. No one wants to stay in New York for college? No? No? But have you thought about the difference in the cost of staying in New York and going out of New York? Yes, it's a lot, right? So if this is just an example. So if you go to a regular 4-year, even inside New York, tuition can be about $21,000. That's maybe for possibly one semester, maybe 1 year. You have room and board, right? Do some people want to dorm? Some people want to stay on campus. I dormed when I went to college. I actually went to school in New York. I went to Hunter. Has anybody ever heard of Hunter College? Right, it's a CUNY, right? Okay, CUNYs are the greatest. I love CUNYs, by the way. Books and supplies. Books cost a lot of money. All 4, maybe 5 years of college, depending on what major you have, you're going to have to spend a lot of money on books, notebooks, folders, pens, calculators, everything, right? Transportation. If you commute back and forth, if you go to school in New York, how much is the monthly MetroCard now? Like $100 and $116 and it keeps going up, right? So that also goes into it. And other things, because you have to eat, right? You like to go shopping at some point. You want to make sure you look nice when you go to class, right? Different things like that. So it can total up to about $35,000, maybe for 1 year, right? Have you thought about how you're going to save for that? Yes? Some people, who said yes? Yes? How are you going to save for it? Your mom's going to pay all $35,000? Yes? Oh, well, she's lucky. She's lucky. Has anybody thought of scholarships? Scholarships? Yeah, scholarships are a great way to help you get to the college that you want and pretty much not pay anything. There's a lot of scholarships out there that you probably haven't even heard of for the majors that you want, right? So $35,000. Who in here likes sneakers? I love sneakers. What kind of sneakers? Jordans, Dunks, Blazers, yes, right? Have you thought about how much college can cost? How many sneakers college costs? Everybody can see that number? 236 pairs of sneakers for $35,000 for college tuition. So who buys their sneakers? Who buys that many pairs of sneakers? Have you thought about maybe not buying sneakers and maybe putting that money aside for college? No? No? So you'd rather have all of those sneakers and not be able to go to college later on? Yes, yes. Later on, we're going to get to what a need and a want is, right? Okay. So this is just one example, though. Some colleges can be expensive. However, there are other colleges out there. Like I said, I went to a CUNY. CUNYs are a lot cheaper. If you wear Skechers, hey, maybe they're a little bit cheaper, right? Than getting other ones. CUNYs are a lot cheaper, right? A full year is $6,000 if you're full-time at a 4-year. Like Hunter, I went to Hunter. It was about $6,000, right? But if you go to a community college, it's even cheaper. So college is definitely available for you, right? It's definitely accessible. You can definitely, no matter what, you can always make sure you get to a college and get a degree, regardless if it's $35,000 or $6,000. So make sure you understand that, okay? How many sneakers do you think maybe a CUNY might cost? If the other one was 236 pairs, how much do you think this one might cost? Huh? Well, his are very expensive. Maybe about 40 sneakers. It's a lot more reasonable, right? Yeah? a little bit more accessible. But you have to think about maybe what you're spending your money on and how you can save for the future, right? Instead of buying an abundance of sneakers, maybe you can put some of the money aside for something else. So where do you start? How do you start saving for college now? Yes. A piggy bank. That's one. Anything else? Over there? Create a budget. That's great, too. What do banks have, though, that can help you? Savings accounts. Who in here has a savings account? I want to see all hands. So some people don't have savings accounts in here, right? Who opened the savings account for you? Your parents? Did you tell them, I want a savings account, I want to save money? They just said, no, we're going to put this money aside for you, right? Right? Okay. Savings account are really important because you put the money aside, you save it, and it gains interest. Who can tell me what interest is? Nobody knows. Does anybody want another t-shirt? You rather a pair of sneakers instead of a t-shirt? Yes. Yes. So she said interest is a rate, and that's how much your money increases. Here you go. This is our MCU Square t-shirts, by the way. Okay, so yes. So the savings account gained interest. So you can think of it like a piggy bank, right? The money you put away, if you put it in a piggy bank, the piggy bank's not gaining interest, right? The same money you put in is exactly what you're going to get. Or at least if you put it in a savings account, whether if it's with a credit union or a commercial bank, you're going to get a little bit more back on it. Okay, so it's going to grow a little bit, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, who spends maybe $20 a day on lunch? Lunch. Nobody eats out? Nobody eats out? Nobody likes coffee, goes to Starbucks, $10 for lunch, right? Have you thought about maybe putting that money aside and using it for something else? No? Who in here goes to Starbucks in the morning? Anybody? Nobody? Everybody in the back goes to Starbucks in the morning? When I went to high school, I used to get a bagel and orange juice every morning. Bacon, egg, and cheese in the morning. How much is that? $2.50? Okay, but every day you do that? No? Who buys lunch every day? You do? Sometimes if you're out with friends, you might buy a Sprite, buy soda, things like that, right? Right? No? So you're all are perfect savers, pretty much. You don't spend this money every day. Okay, but so have you thought about the money that you do spend every day to put it aside, how much you can get in the long run? Yes? So let's look at this. If you put as little as $5 away, because does anybody get an allowance or anything like that? Do you do allowances in here? I never got an allowance. Okay, some people. So if you use some of that, right, if you put some of it away, it can actually grow and build for you. You'd be surprised how many people put money aside, forget about it, and then when they look back, they have thousands of dollars. Okay, you can start small. Start with something that's reasonable for you. Maybe if you don't buy the bacon, egg, and cheese that morning, maybe if you don't get, a coffee from Starbucks that morning, maybe you can put it somewhere else and use it to save for the future. So at the most, if you were to do $50, that's a lot. I can't even save $50 a day. That's a lot. But next year, you can have $1,300. That $1,300 can go to anything that you want, right? Who can tell me the difference between a need and a want? That's easy. You want a t-shirt? All right, I'll give away a t-shirt if someone gives me a really good answer for a need versus a want. Need versus want. Anyone from this side? Yes? Okay, go ahead. Quiet 1 second. We're almost through. We're trying to have fun here. Yes, go ahead. Okay, so give me an example. Okay, that's a good example. So she said a need is a necessity, right? I'm going to give you a shirt. And a want is something that you just want at that time. And her example was if you needed books for school, but you just wanted that new pair of sneakers. Can anyone else give me another example? Yes. It's not beneficial for you. It could be. It can make you feel good at that time, right? You always like to look nice with a new pair of sneakers, but you not need them. You probably need food more than you need the sneakers, right? You probably need a pair of jeans more than you might need the new iPhone, right? It's fun, right? It's fun to have, but do you need it? Can you survive off of an iPhone? I mean, realistically. Realistically, if you're out somewhere and you are hungry and thirsty, can an iPhone give you food and water? Yes, it can help you find a place to get food and water, but it can't give it to you. Let's clarify a need and a want. The iPhone cannot feed you, and the iPhone cannot give you water. So does everybody at least understand that? I'm sure one day they might create that. That would be great. But right now it can't, right? How much is an iPhone? Like $500, $600? $700. They have the iPhone 6, the 6 Plus, right? Very expensive. But you don't need that. You can put some of that money towards savings and let it build for you, right? Who in here has a checking account? So more of you had savings account. Does anyone in here have a checking account? Yes? Who's your checking account with? Who do you know where your account's with? Who? Chase? Okay, so you have a savings and a checking. Okay, so you spend some of your money. No? You let it all sit there. That's beautiful. So a checking account is usually what you use to spend money, right? As you start getting into college, a checking account is going to be important because when you go to buy those books, when you go to pay for your food, you're going to use that debit card to pay for it. A savings account does not come with a debit card. It only comes with an ATM card, okay? So the savings, usually they want you to put aside so you let it build for you, whereas a checking, they want you to spend. Some banks use their checking accounts as their primary accounts. They have a college checking. They're not necessarily always thinking about you saving money. They want you to put money in and take it right back out, right? But we know everybody in here wants to save for the things that they want in the future, right? So has anyone here written a check? Checks are kind of obsolete now, right? Do you know how to write a check? Yes? That's also important. You never know when you might need to write a check for something. Okay, that's actually one of the images up here. Just a breakdown of what a check is. Some people don't know. Some people, they don't offer checks right away anymore like they used to. A lot of people are using debit cards, right? And a debit card is not a credit card. Debit cards do not improve your credit. Some people think that they do. They do not. A debit card is something that comes directly out of your account. Right? Does everybody know the difference between a debit and a credit card? So what is it? What is a credit card? No, you might spend less on a credit card, but how are you spending this credit card? Where is this coming from? You do have to pay a bill. You're borrowing money from someone. A credit card is when you're borrowing money. A debit card is when it's coming directly out of your account. Okay, some people sometimes confuse that. I've met a lot of people in the field, they thought the debit card was helping them build their credit. It is not, and we'll get to credit briefly. Okay, so loans are actually also really good. Loans and credit cards are similar. Loans, you're borrowing money, right? Borrowing money that you might not actually have right now. So these are some examples. Student loans. Some of you might be looking into student loans when you eventually go to college, right? If you want to get a car. Who in here drives? Some people. No one's a driver? I was driving at 16, 17. No? Okay. So if you want to get a car, usually you don't have $16,000, $17,000, $18,000 to just put up for that car, right? You need to borrow that money. If you ever want to get a home, does anyone want to own their own home in the future? Yes, right? You don't have $200,000 to put up for that home right away. You need to borrow it from someone else. Loans and credit cards are similar. They actually help you build credit if you use them properly. Don't apply for credit cards and loans that you know you cannot pay back. Because when you miss a payment, when you realize I lost my job, maybe if anyone has a part-time job now, you'll probably have a full-time job later. That's actually going to hurt your credit and affect you for other things. Some jobs look at your credit if they decide they want to hire you or not, because they might figure that if you have a bad credit score, then maybe you might not manage their employer properly, because you can't manage your own finances. If you wanted a car, they'll probably say no. If you want that home later on, they'll probably say no. So loans are a great way, but be careful. You don't want to just apply for multiple loans that you know that you're not going to be able to pay for later. A lot of people get caught up with like student debt. A lot of students have a lot of student loans, but if you find those scholarships, That's very helpful. Financial aid is very helpful. I went to college pretty much on financial aid and scholarships. I pretty much only paid for, not even books. I actually got a grant for that too. So it is possible. You don't have to pay anything for college if you start thinking about it now, right? I mentioned credit cards. These are also very good. This is something that you can continuously have. Loans you pay off, they go away after a couple years. I have a car loan, it's gonna be done next year, right? I've had it for 4 years already. Those that get paid off, they go away. Credit cards are revolving. You keep using them. Does anyone in here have a credit card? This is for my high school kids. Yes? You have, how long have you had the credit card, do you know? For 2 years? Your parents opened it with you? Yeah? That's a good way to start. If you use them responsibly now, you're gonna have credit history. I'm gonna give away another shirt. Does anyone know the difference between a credit score and a credit report? Oh, that's a hard one. Yes? Not exactly. Yes? I'm gonna come back to you. Anyone on this side? This side is pretty quiet. Anyone know? A credit score and a credit report. Probably more so for my high school students in here. No one might not know? But you've all heard of credit cards, right? You've all heard of loans, right? But you don't know really how it affects you, do you? No? You can be honest and say no. Okay, so when you use a credit card, right, you're building credit history. If you had the card for 2 years, as the young lady said, that's credit history, right? The longer you've had something like that, the better it looks for you, right? They give you a score, kind of like when you get your grades, they give you a grade for that one class, right? Maybe you might get an A or you might get 90. I don't know if they do letters or numbers now, right? But when you get your report card, you have all the grades, right? They show you every class and they give you an average of how you've done with everything. That's the difference. The credit score is one grade, is the number. Your credit report is how you've done for everything, okay? And then you get that average at the end. So if you don't pay your bills on time, if you're just applying for 5, 10 different credit cards and loans that you don't pay back, you might get an F. Think about it that way. You're gonna get an F with your credit score. But now if you get one credit card that you use and pay back, you have one loan, you'll probably get an A+. And then you can apply for other things in the future. Does everybody understand that? Does anyone have any questions about that? Because that's really important to know, because student loans affect your credit. They'll definitely give them to you, but they affect your credit. And if you want to get that car, some people might want a BMW, a Mercedes, the Audi, right? Something like that. Or you can get a Honda. You never know. Something like that, they're going to check your credit. If you want that home in the future, definitely homes are big purchases. They're definitely going to check your credit. So just be aware of what you are actually applying for. Credit cards are not scary, though. A lot of people are afraid of credit. A lot of people want to pay cash for everything. But credit cards protect you as well. If you lose them, you just call the company. It's not directly your money. You're not liable necessarily for that. Someone gets your debit card, that's your account. That's your cash in your account, okay? So credit cards aren't scary. Credit isn't scary. You just have to make sure you use it properly, right? Anyone have any questions about credit cards, loans, anything like that? Please ask. That's what I'm here for. Yes? That varies. Usually it's hard. If you've never had a credit card, they're probably not going to approve you for anything. That's why sometimes it's good. Like I know the young lady said her parents opened a card with her. Your parent is kind of saying they're going to back you if anything goes wrong. How do you pick them back? Are you working? Yeah. So every time you get paid, usually they give you a monthly bill. If you spent $200, then you have to pay $200 back. That's all it is. You pay for what you know you're able to pay back. Don't buy 200 and something sneakers, and then when that bill comes, you realize you don't have any money to pay it back, because that's going to hurt you, okay? All right, so this is another idea about what a credit score is. There's a range of credit scores, right? 500 to 59 is the bottom, 720 to 850 is the top. So can I get a volunteer? You don't really have to do anything. You're in the front. Come just stand right here with me. Do you want to buy a car? Yeah. At some point in life? Do you know what kind of car you want? Yeah. What kind of car do you want? A nice car? You don't have a make or model or anything? No, not at all? All right. Well, I bought a Hyundai Sonata. Does anybody know about a Hyundai Sonata? They're actually really nice cars, by the way. So let's say we both want to get a Hyundai Sonata, right? He has an A+. Your credit score is about 750. I wasn't doing too well when I was in school. I was spending so much money. I wasn't paying it back like I should have, right? My credit score is down to maybe like 600. We want the same car. Who has the better payments here? He does. We want the same car, though. We probably even have the same income. We'll just say we both make what? How much do you want to make when you start working? $1,000 a month? You got to dream higher. You got to think, you got to want more than that. You got to want maybe $3,000 a month. $4,000 a month? All right, that sounds a little bit better. Got to dream really big with that. All right, so we might have the same income. We get $4,000 a month. We can both afford the same car. He has an A+ on his credit report. I wasn't doing too well. He has the better options, right? How much is he paying? $851 for the same car. That's just a figure, by the way. Some car monthly payments are a lot lower. But I would be paying, about $1,200 a month for the same exact car. Who wants to pay more, right? I'm going to give you a shirt for being a lovely volunteer. Isn't that nice? For you being an A+ with your credit report, right? All right, so think about it that way. Who wants to pay more for the same thing? The person next to you can have, yes, you have a question? If I'm paying more? No, that just means the interest rate is a lot higher for me. That would just be, so the same thing is if a car is $20,000, because my credit isn't that great, the interest rate on the car might be 10%. Whereas he who has a better interest rate, a better credit, might be 3%. So I'm not paying it off faster. I'm just paying more money for the same exact car. So think about it that way. When you think about the credit scores that you want, what you want to spend money on, what it's going to affect you later on, how much money you really want to put out for the same thing. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about that? Yes. For student loans? If you have good credit history that you've maybe started when you were younger, they might look at it like that. But usually, Sallie Mae, they usually kind of they're city loans, so they're looked at a little bit differently. But if you went to a private institution for a student loan, they're definitely going to say, is she going to really be able to pay this back? We might give her a higher interest rate. I don't know what her credit history looks like. So it can still affect you. And then later on, if you ever want to bring your interest rate down after you've had the loan for about 6 years, they're going to look at that again too. So believe the credit does not go away. Okay? Any other questions about that? Everybody understands? Don't be afraid to ask a question. I'm a very nice person. Okay. All right, so someone mentioned budget earlier, right? Making a budget is very good. That's how you make sure your finances are in order, that you're reaching all the goals that you want, right? Who has a short-term goal? Everybody knows what a short-term goal is, right? Something that you can have almost immediately. Someone tell me their short-term goal. Yes. To save $1,500. But what do you want to use that money for? What's a goal that you want to reach? Not necessarily just with the amount of money. To graduate. Okay. And maybe you might want to have a nice little graduation dinner. Long-term goal. Something that you might want in a couple years. Anyone have? Yes. A house, right? That is that's a long-term goal. Because that's something that's a lot of money, but you can do. How old are you? 17? I know people that have bought their first house at 22, 21. So it's definitely possible. You just have to think about that now. It's not, I'm sorry? If you go to college, how can you get the house? Why can't you have both? Why can't you have both? I went to college. I'm going through my first mortgage. I'm only 25. I'm not that old. So you can definitely have both. You just have to think about it now. You have to think about saving now, budgeting now, while the money that you get probably might come from your parents. You don't have as many bills, right? Who really has bills in here? Phone bill? Does anybody pay a phone bill? Okay. Anybody pay rent? No? Electricity? Water? No, right? Nothing. You guys don't have as much money going out. There's nothing specifically that money needs to go to. So now is the best time to start saving money for yourself. So if you actually write it out, what you do have money going out for and where you're getting money from, and then decide how much you want to put aside for yourself. Who can tell me what paying yourself first means? To pay yourself first, what does that mean? What do you think it means? Yes. To save up your money, yes. But I mean, you can, yeah, that's about right. You can get a shirt. My last shirt. Just in case if you guys didn't want to know what's on the shirt, it says MCU squared. This is MCU's college account. We do have college accounts. We don't charge you any fees. Our primary account is our savings account, not our checking account. So we definitely want our students to save money, start building credit properly, and not be in so much debt later on when you eventually graduate from college, okay? So to make a good budget. So now I pay rent, right? I do also like to go shopping from time to time. So I need to, but then I also have a phone bill. I do have a car note that's almost done. So I need to make sure I'm managing my finances properly. So I need to write out, okay, I'm paying $300 a month for my car. That comes out, right? I pay about $100 for my phone bill, my cell phone bill, right? Let's see, what else? What other bills do I might have? I have car insurance, that comes out. Then what's left, I decide how I want to pay myself. How much do I want to put aside for savings, and then how much do I want to use just for entertainment, to do the shopping? Because I don't necessarily need to go shopping, right? I just want to. These pants will probably last me a while. I don't need to buy a new pair of pants every month, right? So you have to think about things that way, right? Oh, some people like to buy new pants every month. I hear some people saying that. So these are other advantages of budgeting. Meet your savings goals. If you have something you want to do, like buying a house, you want to save for that. You want to save for that car. If you want to go on a trip, you want to save for that also. Having the funds for needs and wants. We talked about that, right? So you can get what you know you need and then also get what you want. Because everybody wants what they want, right? We all don't need an iPhone, but I definitely do like my iPhone. Definitely makes life a little easier when I'm lost. Google Maps, right? You can avoid debt. When you get that credit card and those loans, if you budget properly, then you know how much you really have available to spend because you made sure that those were covered first. You have to make sure if you ever have a loan or a credit card, you pay it back on time. Timing is the most important thing, okay? Once you pay it late, your credit score will go down, and then they will charge you a higher interest rate. Remember the example I said about 10% and 3%? You don't want to have that high interest rate later on. And then less financial stress. Who wants to be stressed over finances? Do you want to be stressed over finances? You have schoolwork to think about, right? You got to think about when you're going to go out with your friends the next time. You don't want to think about, oh, how am I going to put this money aside to pay for myself to get a meal, right? You want to have fun. So you want to make sure you prepare for that later on. So like I said, what does it mean to pay yourself first? Setting up automated payments. Who does automatic payments? Everybody knows what automatic means, right? You don't even have to think about it. It just happens, right? That's a good way. My bills are paid automatically. Every time I get paid, some of it goes right out to pay my bills. I don't even have to think about it, and whatever I have left is what I use for myself. So paying bills is critical, but it's important to put money away for yourself. Nobody wants to live on $5 a paycheck, right? Some people do. Some people live paycheck to paycheck. You want to be able to save so you don't have to do that, so that you can be comfortable and get the things that you want. And last thing, if your budget is limited, start it with a small amount of savings. So remember when I showed you that chart before about starting with $5? $5 might seem small, but you can still reach the goal that you want in the future. When you're eventually able to do $20, $30 aside, you'll reach the goal that you want. That's what this is all about, reaching your financial goals, reaching your personal goals. And credit helps with that. This is just an example of what a budget might be. I don't really need to go over all of this. Like I mentioned before, if you have rent, if you have transportation, food and drinks, clothes, this is just an idea of some way that you can write it out. Sometimes it's helpful to be visual instead of just talking about it, right? Everybody understands that? Are there any questions about a budget? So everybody's going to start saving at some point. Everybody's going to budget once they actually have that income and they have bills that they have to start paying, right? This is just a summary. Save, budget, learn about credit, and have a plan. Planning now is really important, okay? So everybody's gonna start saving money, right? Oh, I didn't hear that from that many people. Is everybody gonna start saving money? Yes? I hope you really do believe that, because it really is important to do that. And it'll make it very easy for you later on. Start thinking about things early, because when you think about it later, you're gonna wish you thought about it then, that you would have started putting that $5 aside, okay? Does anyone have any questions about anything I touched on? Or even if I didn't touch on it, if you have a question. Yes? Is that a question or are you just stretching? Okay. If you've never had credit, so you're just gonna pay cash for everything. I mean, if you have it, I mean, that's fine, but what if somebody breaks into your house? What if your house burns down? How are you gonna cover things if all your cash happens to be stolen or things like that? Some people don't allow cash purchases. Like if you have $200,000 put aside for a house, then that is great. I wish I was you. But majority of people don't. But if you wanna have that money, then you have to start saving it now. Okay, so he asked how long do they give you to pay back a credit card? Every month you have a bill. Every month. If it's not the full amount, they send you a bill every month. But they do give you a minimum payment. So if you spend $2,000 in 1 month, they'll say, oh, you only have to pay us a minimum of $60 this month. But believe that interest rate is gonna be tacked onto it. So you're gonna be paying more than just the $2,000 that you spent. So that's why it's you wanna pay what you know you have the money for, and then make sure you pay it on time, okay? Any other questions about anything? Yes? Besides a credit card? Credit cards, loans, those actually are pretty much the only way to like start. Right, so you have to find, so one thing that MCU has, and some other banks might have it as well, are secured credit cards, where if you know, because you said you work, right? So if you put money in an account, at least maybe like $300, you can put that money aside and then they'll give you a credit card with a $300 credit limit. So that's what will guarantee you to start. There's sometimes like we have a student visa. Some banks have like student accounts where they're a little more lenient in letting you have an account. Your credit limit is just not gonna be that high. It'll probably be about $300, $400, $500. But use that. Maybe buy lunch that day, pay it back that month. That's the only way you're gonna build credit, is borrowing and paying it back, okay? But time is really important, yes? When you pay your phone bill, like your cell phone bill? Cell phone bills are weird. They do check your credit to open your cell phone, but it doesn't necessarily increase or decrease your credit. But you should, if you don't pay them for months on end, they will call and make sure that your credit score gets dropped down. There's not necessarily any say of how many points that might be. But so it's important that you don't let something like that just sit and linger, and then then you have collection agencies calling you saying you owe us $100. You don't want that, okay? Any other questions? Yes? Do you need a credit card? That's an interesting question, because some people will say that you don't. Some people will say they have the cash for it, I can pay for it. But if in the long run, if you want to, like the student loans or like to get a home, you might want to have a credit card for something. And then it protects you if you have like a purchase, like if let's say you want to go away, right? I'm going away next month. The plane ticket was a couple $100s that I did not want to come directly out of my account. I used my credit card for it. And then I'm going to pay it back next month, right? So you don't necessarily need it, but it is a good way to help you for future goals that you have, okay? Any other questions? It's the last time I'm asking you. Sure? Did you guys feel like you learned a lot of things today? Yes. Yes? I hope you're not lying to me. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, you had a question? This is the last question now. Okay, go ahead. What happens? Yeah. So if you're not paying, so you saw the chart that I showed you when it was like the range from 500 to 850. So if you stop paying your credit card bills, that 850 is going to go down to 700, 600 is going to go down. If you're not paying your mortgage on the house that you want in the future, they will come and eventually take your house. That car payment, they will take your car. Isn't there a show about people getting their car repossessed? Right, you don't want that lady to come and try to take your car, right? So why don't you just pay the car note on time? They can come and take it if you owe them money, yes. And then it's gonna affect you later on, right? But don't be afraid of credit. If you do mess up, you can fix it. You can definitely take the steps to fix it and then reach your goal later. You have a question? Oh, now everybody wants to ask me questions, yes. If someone else comes to get the same car and they have a really bad credit score, their interest rate will be very high and they will be paying more for that same car. So yes. Okay? Well, thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it. Learn some more, have fun. Okay, so you guys have a couple minutes before she comes back to move on. They have a lot of fun things for you guys today. There's food. Everybody likes food, right? Free food at that. So you can save that money that you were gonna buy lunch with, right? And put it into your savings account, right? I think there's gonna be a DJ downstairs. Anybody can dance? Oh yes. I think they're gonna have you guys dancing downstairs later. Everybody got real excited when I talked about free food, right? All right. Let's keep it down just a little bit before they come in. Everybody's excited about the free food. I would be too. You guys are all on spring break, right? No? Some people are? You guys aren't doing anything else special? No one's going away? Nothing like that? You went to Syracuse yesterday? That's nice. Are you thinking of going there? It's nice. I know some people that went to Syracuse. So she's lying. It's okay. As long as she visits a college, I'm okay with it. So you guys all said you want to leave New York to go to college, right? Why is that? I'm curious. No? Why do you want to leave New York? Wait, I can't hear everybody. I can't hear. Don't worry. I'm put the mic down in like 2 seconds. Yes. Because you want to travel? Has anyone traveled outside of New York? Yes? All right. No, but school outside of New York is fun. I was either going to stay in New York or California. But California was really far. And then I got a scholarship in New York, so I was like, debt, no debt, I'll stay in New York. That's how I thought of it, right? But apply for all the scholarships you can. You know there's a lot of scholarships out there that you wouldn't even think of? Just because you're left-handed, I think there's a scholarship somewhere. Yes, they do have scholarships for minorities. Mm-hmm. They do. They have scholarships for everything. Like, if you have part Cherokee Indian, there's a scholarship. There's a scholarship for everything. So, what are some of the majors that you guys want to do? I'm just trying to kill time. All right. Is anyone into the arts? Theater? Yes? Like what? Has anyone gone like Broadway? Anybody want to be on theater? Yes? Yes? You want to act? Acting is lovely. I was a math and theater major. I should say that. Is she coming back? You want to know a fun fact about me? Yeah, no, maybe? I was in The Lion King on Broadway. Oh, now everybody pays attention. Yep, that's why I asked if anybody liked theater. I played young Nala. Yep. Anybody watch The Lion King? You guys have those newfangled Disney movies, right? Like Frozen and like all that stuff. Anybody watch like The Little Mermaid, The Lion King? What else was there? Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, well, that's kind of new. So it's Finding Nemo. It's old, but it's not like the originals. Well, yeah, some people, I went somewhere and no one knew what The Lion King was. I felt very upset. I think she's coming back now. I think my time might be done. I think so. All right, well, thank you again, guys. Thank you for your time. Hope you guys learned.
Thank you, Ms. Hubbard. Thank you so much. Brooklyn's in the house. Yeah? All right. Well, we're going to get ready to feed Brooklyn. Yeah. So you all have your meal tickets. Right. Wonderful. Nobody lost theirs. We have pizza for everyone, and I hope you all eat pizza. So we're going to go in orderly fashion. There is enough for all of you. So we're going to start from the back row on this side. Great day. And I hope that you did get some information that you could take back and utilize and share with your community, as I indicated earlier. So we're going to get ready to wrap up. So if you'll be patient a little longer, our next person on the agenda to speak with you this evening is Reggie Nance. And Reggie is the person responsible for bringing you that beautiful music. Did you have fun downstairs? Whoa, nose. Yeah, all right. Some people did, I guess. I hope you all enjoyed yourself. Reggie and his crew provided that entertainment for us this evening, and I want to ask you to please put your hands together for Reggie Nance.
So good afternoon, everyone. Can I ask everybody to stand up on their feet? Come on, real quick. Stand up on your feet. Everybody's had something to eat, kind of dragging. So here's what I want you to do. You showed up today. Many of you were on spring break to come and get information about financial literacy, to have a little fun downstairs, to come and be in this august body here at the Borough President's office. So I want you to do this for yourselves. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, you can sit. You see, that wasn't that hard, was it? I promise you I'm going to be easy on you. So I do, in fact, want to thank a few people. I want to thank our Borough President, Mr. Eric Adams. I've known him for a long, long, long time. I met him way back when he had just started 100 Blacks in law enforcement, and have watched him over the years and over the decades ascend to the heights of political genius and all the great things that he does. So just want to thank the Borough President and his wonderful staff for having all of us here today. So let's give them a round of applause. And you also had to hear from Ms. Traylon Husbands, who presented the information on financial literacy. Wasn't she amazing? I mean, you guys don't know how hard it is to come into a room like this with so many of you and keep the crowd interested and engaged, and she did that masterfully. So let's give her and MCU, Municipal Credit Union, a hand for being here today. I work with two incredible people at Radio 103.9, DJ Vince, who's right here, and John Prince. Didn't they do a great job? Give them a hand. So with that, I'm not going to be long. I just want to talk to you a little bit about my journey. I once sat where you guys sat, believe it or not, and was a student many, 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 many moons ago. I'm not from New York City. I'm from the wonderful state of Georgia, and I grew up in a small town in Georgia, a little small town. I was just there last weekend, called Cordele, Georgia. And growing up in school, the early years, until about fifth grade or so, I was a really good student, good grades. Parents had no problems. Then I kind of got to fifth grade and decided that there were these, friends in my class, they were the cool kids. I'm like, I want to hang with the cool kids. So what started to happen when I started to hang with the cool kids is that my grades weren't so cool. I was a student who was on honor roll. I went to being a student who had D's and F's sometimes from hanging around the cool kids because I thought they were cool. And two of those kids, their names were Freddie, and the other one was Dino. So fast forward, we go on through life. We go on and we graduate, and I go to college. I'll tell you about that. But when I was in college, I think at about 19 years old, I got a message from a friend that one of my cool kid friends from fifth grade, his name was Freddie, had been robbing people's house, breaking into people's house. He broke into a house, somebody shot and killed him. at 19 years old. Fast forward, a few years after that, I'm in the car in Georgia with my father, and we're driving down the street, and my father says, "There's your classmate." I said, "Where, Dad? I don't see any of my classmates." He goes, "Right there. There's a guy going from car to car who's a crack addict, who's begging for money. That was my classmate, Dino." So these were and not to knock it because we all make decisions and we go different places in life, but these were the two cool kids in 5th grade. I could have very much gone down the same path, but I didn't, and I'll share with you why I didn't. So this is 5th and 6th grade. I'm having a tough time. My grades are not so great. Go to a new school, and in the first day of school, I meet this kid by the name of Bobby Dexter. And Bobby says to me, first day of school, "Are you going to college?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to college." He said, "Well, where are you going to college?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Well, I'm going to Harvard." Because I asked my dad when I was a little kid, what's the best college in the country? And he said Harvard, so I'm going to Harvard. And I'm like, "Yeah, right. You're going to Harvard." Okay. So at any rate, we become fast friends. We go on to high school together. We become very, very good friends. And we get to junior year of high school, and I'm in a program called Upward Bound, which is for students from underprivileged backgrounds and getting them to go to college. That's the whole mission of it. So I'm in this program at Georgia Southwestern College in Americus, Georgia. And between my junior and senior year, the counselor for the program, she sits all of us down, and she says to me, "Reggie, let's talk about college." I say, "Okay." And she says to me, "Ivy League." And I said, nah, that's not me. And then she'll go, "Highly selective." I said, "Highly selective, that sounds good. I'll take that." This would go on for months. She would say, "Ivy League." And I said, nah. And she'd say, "Highly selective." And I say, "Okay." So I go away on a summer program called Leadership Education and Development Program in Business, and I'm assigned to the University of Arizona for the summer at their business school. And I meet kids from all across the country who look just like you and me, very smart kids. And I talk to them, and they're talking about college. This one says, "I'm going to Harvard, I'm going to Yale, I'm going to Princeton, I'm going to Brown, I'm going to Cornell." And I thought, well, gee, they're not that different from me, and I can hold my own with them, and I don't feel like out of place. Maybe I should consider this Ivy League thing, if the students are like these people, I think I could hold my own. So I go back home, and I pull out all the information I got from colleges. I had gotten written from every Ivy League college in the country. So I pulled out information on Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. And the more I read about Brown, the more I start to fall in love with Brown. I'm like, there's social activism. You don't have to take core classes. I'm like, this sounds like my kind of school. So I made up my mind that I'm going to go to Brown. And I'm also thinking, well, Bobby told me in 7th grade he's going to Harvard. We're very competitive. What if he gets into Harvard and gets into the Ivy League and I don't? Can't have that. So I go back the first day of school, and I sit down with Dr. Johnson from my Upward Bound program. And she says to me, "Reggie, let's talk college." And she says, "What?" "Ivy League." I said, "You know what, Dr. Johnson? I think I want to go to Brown." She nearly fell out of a chair. She said, okay. Let's put a plan together. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do this. And she says to me, "Reggie, here's the thing. You're going to get in." I'm like, "Dr. Johnson, I don't know. It's a long shot. Nobody ever in the history of my small town high school has ever gone to an Ivy League school. I can try. I'll do my best, but I don't know." She goes, "Reggie, listen to me. You are going to get in. And when you get in, I want you to call me up so that I can say, 'I told you so.'" So fast forward, senior year, I remember the day like it was yesterday, December 19th, 19 blah, 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 blah. And I get home, last day of school before Christmas, and I go to the mailbox, and there's a letter from Brown University. And back in the day, conventional wisdom was that if you got a big envelope, you got in. If you got a small envelope, not so good. So in my mailbox is what? A small envelope. So I grab it. I'm like, but it's thick. They don't reject you with a thick envelope. So I rip it open, not even to the first page, like to the second or third page. And it says, "To the students, to the admitted students of the 222nd class to enter Brown University." I'm like, holy crap, I actually got in. So I run in the house, and I called who? Dr. Johnson. And I say, Dr. Johnson, I have something to tell you. And she says, Reggie, I already know, and I told you so. But there's another part to that story. Bobby Dexter, 7th grade. Bobby applied to where? Harvard. So I make my way to his house, and I see a look on his face, and the look doesn't look so good. And he says, I can tell by the look on your face you got in. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I can tell by the look on your face you don't have good news. He goes, no, I got waitlisted. I have to wait until April to find out. So in the meantime, he applied to Princeton, Yale, Stanford, Purdue, Brown. And come April, he didn't get into Harvard. But he got into Yale, he got into Princeton, he got into Brown, and he got into Stanford, and he got into Purdue. So he ends up going to Yale as an undergraduate. Years later, he decides he wants to go to law school. And so he applies to law school, and guess where he gets accepted into law school? Harvard Law School. And guess who was 2 years ahead of him, a famous person in this country, a political leader. Guess who was with him at Harvard Law School? Exactly. So he ends up, finally his dream come true from 7th grade, at Harvard Law School with President Barack Obama, who he says that nobody had a clue that one day he would ever become president. That's a surprise to everybody who went to school with him. And I say that today to let you know that Bobby practiced law for a number of years, and he's actually a law professor today at Chapman University School of Law out in Orange County, California. I share all those stories with you to let you know that all along the way in your life, there are going to be people who speak life into you, and you don't even know it. Back in 7th grade, when Bobby was telling me that he was going to go to Harvard, he was speaking life into me to let me know that I could do it too. Back when Dr. Johnson was pushing me to go to an Ivy League school, she was speaking life into me because she knew that the moment I made up my mind that I was going to do it and get in. But I had to have people around me who spoke life into me. And what all of you don't know is that you speak life into each other. Your teachers speak life into you. Your parents do it. There are people all around you who care about you and every day are speaking life into you and your future. Your job is to let it in and let it in and let it in. Now, there's another part to my story. I'm all grown up. I live in New York City. I'm in the picture of health, and I thought I had a cyst on my gums. I go to the dentist, and the dentist said, I'm going to send you for tests. There's something going on. I go for tests, and I go back a week later, and they say, it's a tumor. You got to get further tests. I get a tumor, and get further tests, and they tell me it's cancerous. I'm the picture of health. Nothing like this ever in my family. Could not believe it. And I call I started to get overwhelmed with phone calls. All of my family, I have a huge family. Everybody was calling me. People wanted to come and visit. And I talked to my grandmother. I said, Grandma, it's kind of overwhelming. Everybody's calling, constantly. I can't deal with it. And she said to me, Reggie, listen to me. And my grandmother was 80-something years old at the time. She's 95 today. She says, Reggie, all of your life, you've been good to people. And now people want to be good to you. So you sit back and you let people be good to you and you take it in. That was my grandmother speaking life into me again as I face cancer. So I go through chemotherapy, radiation for 4 weeks, and all the things you go through when you have to confront your own mortality. And here about, I think it's 9 years later, I'm 100% cancer-free. And I'm very thankful for that. So thank you. The final story I have to share with you is that if you live long enough on this planet, you're going to go through life and get to points where you're stuck or where you're in a rut or where you don't feel like your life is progressing or you're moving forward. I reached that point, about 9 years ago. And I showed up at this organization called Momentum Education, which was started by a woman called Robert Diane Lynn. It's a company for adult learners, people who are trying to achieve goals. They're trying to achieve certain milestones in their lives. So I show up at this company, and I meet Robin Diane Lynn. And Robin, unfortunately, passed away from us about 5 years ago. And I only knew her for a year and a half. But I tell people to this day, there are two women who are seminal figures in my life. My mother gave me birth, and Robin gave me my rebirth. Because what I learned from Robin was that all my life, people had spoken life into me, and it had pulled me forward and moved me forward. But what I didn't realize is that I exist on this planet to speak life into other people. I survived cancer because I have a message. I survived cancer because I had to show up here today with you. I work with youth, I'm a mentor, but Robin helped me to see and to know that I have a gift for speaking life into people. And I also want all of you to know that even at your young age, you have the ability to speak life into each other. That part of why we all exist on this planet is to speak life into each other. Speak life into your future, and it'll happen. Speak life into good grades, and it'll happen. Speak life into a wonderful and a loving family, and it'll happen. Speak life to the dream career that you've dreamed about, and it'll happen. Speak life into financial success and abundance, and it will happen. So with that, I just want to say thank you for having me today. I wish you all nothing but the absolute best in life. And when times start to get rough, times start to get hard, and life is coming at you, grab a hold of somebody who speaks life into you and let them do it and do it and do it and do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nance, and thank you guys for being so patient and understanding. We know we've kept you all day, and you have been wonderful. I invite you to ask your parents, your teachers, to bring you back to Borough Hall. You're in a historic building. How many of you watch Law and Order? And so have you seen any of this? No? Okay. So you can come back for a tour. Just let us know when you're coming, and we will be glad to show you the space here. We are very proud of our space here at Borough Hall. Borough President Adams calls this the people's house. So it's your house. So you're welcome to come, and when we have events, you're welcome to come. Just go on our website and sign up for our paperless announcements so you could know when we're having our different programs. For example, in this coming summer, we're going to be having, in July, family movie nights in Prospect Park. In June, we're going to be having a family day in Canarsie, Brooklyn Day. You're off on Brooklyn Day, and we will be hosting you in Canarsie Park. We also have something that I'm very proud of because we did it last year for the very first time, International Day of Friendship. And that's a free, fun day of a parade. It starts with a parade, then there are performances, and then there's cuisine. So please, that's August 2nd. So watch out for our newsletter and all of our flyers that would invite you back not only to Borough Hall, but some of the programs we're having outside of Borough Hall. We're going to get ready to wrap up. And so, again, you found when you came back to your chairs, you found the same evaluation that you filled out this morning. So we're calling that the post. What you did this morning was pre. So it's kind of like what, and I think the young lady that was here trailing husbands this morning, she's not around right now, but you're basically testing what she did. You're testing her. You're evaluating her. So I'm asking that right now you start filling out that same questionnaire, and it basically it helps us to understand what you've learned when you were here today. And just don't be afraid of it. We're not testing you. We're not going to grade you on it. You don't have to put your name on it. So as soon as you're finished, if you would put your hands up, we will collect them. So some of you were doing it already. You also have attached to that form an evaluation that helps us track who we're helping in the borough, where we need to go and provide more information. And that will help us prepare more programs that will assist you and all of the residents in Brooklyn. So if you finish both of them, please, hands up and we'll collect them. Keisha and Jamal will be collecting them as well. Keisha and Jamal.
Tell them to pass it to the end.
Pass it to the end. Pass it to to your right. Is that the right? Your left.
No.
Stay, yeah. Just finish them. Please complete them. And I'm going to give you a couple more minutes for those who haven't completed them yet. We'll come back around. Where's Keisha? The ticket? Yeah. Well, send me 74, right? The individuals will stay here? Okay. Where's Stay Pop? She's in the hallway. All right. Tell her she needs to just have her kids maybe stay in the back here. They're together, or you want to? They're here. They're there, right? In the back. Yeah, we can have her stay there, too. And then pull them aside. Tell her we're working on it. And so as soon as we know, it's not tonight, it's next week. You want to tell somebody, call rather than you running? So the good news is, when we're finished here, when we collect all of these evaluations and questionnaires, we're going to be going over to Barclay Center. We as in you, because I can't go. Right, so what I'm going to ask is that you follow instructions so that we could orderly receive your tickets to the game. Once you're at the game this evening, keep an eye on the message board because they're going to give a shout out to you. And once you hear, it's obviously not going to be your names, but just watch the message board because you know where you were today. They're going to put a couple of words on that message board welcoming you to the Barclay Center. So once you see that, I want you guys to shout and scream, Brooklyn's in the house, okay? Can I hear that? Wait a minute, let's start again. How are you going to do this? We're going to scream, Brooklyn is in the house. Oh, forget the house. Forget the house. Brooklyn, right? All right. All right. All right. Any more surveys? Any more? Any more surveys? Or we're still completing? All right. Chaperones should get them and take them downstairs, and then we'll put the chaperones over to the table. So you're a group, right? I need a minute. Yeah, so when they get them there, ask the chaperones, give them to the chaperones one, and then come down from the chaperones. Ask them to tell you how many they were there. Do we trust them to tell us how many were there, or do we say yes? Okay, the chaperones that came with the groups of kids. Can I get the chaperones up front? Chaperones only.
Skip shot.
this, yeah, I should remember from this morning.
And how many was that?
Right, so we'll give you the 18 kids. 18.
Is that accounted for?
Are you together?
No, that's outlaw for 7.
Outlaw.
Outlaw. So I need to see your 7.
Right. So if you gather your 7, don't count. Oh, would you? Yeah. So we can't do that for everybody though. When you get your tickets, please be patient with us. We tried our best to seat you as close together, but the Barclays Center gave it to us. It is. You just decide who goes with who. Okay? I'm not gonna go through every ticket situation. Are you guys together? Anybody here that's together, or you're all individuals? You're together? Okay. What group? Barton. That's how I have you. So you two are Barton? All right. All right, so Barton. All right, so if you can get the kids, I appreciate it. Let's go. DHS. Vaughn. VAUGHN. Group or name? Boys, girls. But they're registered singly? Boys Hope, Girls Hope. Boy, I remember the organization. Did we get their names separate? Or they came as a group?
There was some issue with
Stay in one line.
some of them weren't on the list then, but
How many came today? All right.
so we don't have
You don't have, so if you would say, we do have tickets to stand aside for me. So that's what? Oh, thank you. So
you said it was 11.
13, 11 plus 3. So,
It wasn't Brookshire, right? Brookshire.
Some of them are on the list, but I don't know why it didn't get grouped together.
all right. So just so I'm going to ask you just to step aside for a minute for me. We should